the Natlan Forgeables. All the blueprints for this series can be bought from the blacksmith alone in the Stadium of the Sacred Flame. The Ring of Yaxche has a Page 2, which is unlocked after completing the third Children of Echo's Tribal Chronicles quest. Having played through it myself, I don't personally think knowing what happens on Page 2 will spoil your experience of that quest. So, it's a spoiler warning, but with an asterisk. And with that out of the way, let's begin! Polearm. Footprint of the Rainbow. A keen polearm forged from jade. It gives off rainbow-hued light when exposed to sunlight. Description. Long, long ago, in what now is seen as an age of myth, when great dragons still swum the flowing springs, there was a fairy who, having drifted to this place carrying a mission from a distant land, met with a valiant youth under the watery moonlight. The young man was Wenuku of the Metzli, known to posterity as the Treader of the Rainbow. Just as the spring waters have never taken a fixed form, so too are there many different versions of the legend of the Rainbow King, each with their own origins. Yet, invariably, they all mention his encounter with the water sprite. I am a tear born of the primordial chalice, the daughter of clear springs, sweet dew, gentle winds, and light mist. O hero, he who has embarked on a journey to protect the weak, the justice you pursue is the ideal I yearn for. Please, allow me to bless your spear with my song, and allow me to accompany you on this lonely journey. I ask only that, when you become king, as my reward, you grant me the spring where vicious beasts prowl. For the mistress of many waters' noble and compassionate vision, for the all-embracing love spread through the land along the flowing waters. For these things, the searing waters must be turned into clear springs, the flowing phlogiston purged utterly from the water veins. So, in the name of justice, was the warrior guided onto his journey to challenge the order that belonged solely to the dragons. Though he discerned the fairy's true intentions, realized that the Oceanid messenger merely saw him as a means to fulfill an end. Since they shared a common enemy, he would fight by the side of this girl who sought to deceive him, until the time came that they were to betray one another. And that was enough, he thought to himself, even if all her words were simply designed to entice, and though it would eventually all dissipate into mist and rain. At least the justice that he so firmly believed in, the justice that had the power to unite the weak, at least that would not fade at the journey's end. It was only after dozens of winters had passed, and he had spent his life in vain trying to fulfill that promise, that the king realized. At the end of that glorious journey, it was the unwavering faith he had held from the very beginning that he ultimately regretted the most. Just as the spring waters have never taken a fixed form, so too do the hearts of humans and fairies sway with the night breeze. Only when the young man was on the verge of being consumed by the Dragon Lord's flames did she realize that her objective had long since become muddled. All she had to do was abandon the one with blind faith in justice here. After all, she had already advised him to abandon his village. Then she had simply to find another who could become king. After all, his ideals had never concerned her anyway. But if that was the case, then why did she now face the dragon's fire for his folly, beheld by his astonished eyes? Perhaps this was the communication and understanding that the Mistress of Many Waters sought after, thought the water sprite to herself, as she gave him one last smile, covering the sun-like blaze, leaving only rainbow hues in the rising vapor. The ancient scrolls of the Metzli tell a completely different story, however. Under the gentle moonlight, the hero Wenuku met the wandering water sprite and fell in love. Yet, in a moment of suspicion, he was separated from his beloved, whose name was Hinela, or Ianera. They say that the human heart is as capricious as the tides, yet how easy it is to conquer the tides, how difficult the human heart. Filled with regret, the hero Wenoku wandered every inch of the scorched lands, searching only for his beloved. After decades of relentless pursuit, the water sprite's hardened heart softened, finally showing a trace of compassion. She plucked a soft cloud from the sky and turned it into a rainbow, guiding the hero toward the sea's other side. Blessed by the sacred flame, Wenoku and his lover were finally reunited, never to be separated again. The tribal elders believe that the shells we see today are fragments of the rainbow that fell into the sea back then. And the reason they are always formed with two connected sides is because they symbolize our wish for reunion. Sword. Flute of Ezpitzal. A peculiarly shaped jade longsword that has been passed down amongst the Masters of the Nightwind as a priestly flute. Description. Long, long ago, in what now is seen as an age of myth, when great dragons still roamed the deep valley, there lived a girl who, despite having had her ankles mutilated at birth, inherited the title of Holy Sovereign, just as tradition dictated. Back then, when the deep valley had not yet been given the name of Natlan, there was but a lowly village that owed its very existence to the protection of the dragons. By ancient beacons was the dragons' prideful honor incinerated, driving them to flee fearfully into withering dreams. So did they come to make a pact with the mortals who sought their protection, instructing them to ordain a holy sovereign of exceptional talent.
A labyrinth of mirrors and a fortress of mist, these shall we build to shield your tiny mortal tribes from the scourge of war. In return, we ask only one thing, that you choose a sovereign who will guide us into our dreams.
As with all worldly aspirations, dreams are windows onto an inferno of desire, fired by the kindling known as life. This so-called sovereign was but an offering to dreams, destined to be dispersed like smoking embers by the cold night wind. And so it was that the Holy Sovereign's only companions were a flute and her silent attendant. Perhaps out of loyalty, or perhaps sympathy, he never left his young master's side, doomed as she was to an early demise. Yet this hero, venerated by future generations, did not yet know that the young seer had long since discerned how the dream would end. Until the hero passed through mist and mirrors, guided by her flute song. Only then did the girl who had lost her ankles embrace him. And so, in a gentle song woven from whispers and the dainty night wind, she murmured into his ear all that she had heard. When the day comes that we meet once more, pierce my heart, I beseech you. Let my name be engulfed by the flaming beacons and the burning winds. The old pact shall be broken, and in its place you will establish a new one, bringing them true peace. Until the day we meet once more, my most loyal servant Dinga, Dragon Slayer, and fated sovereign Magan. Hero of mine, and mine alone. This is my final command. May the name of Natlan endure for millennia. Bow. Chainbreaker. A jade-adorned longbow. The gentle winds always seem to swirl gently about its string. Legends claim that this weapon was made in a far more ancient era by a dragon artisan. Description. Long, long ago, in what we today call an age of myth, when great dragons still strode amongst the thick jungles, the abandoned girl was adopted by the mother of dragons and grew up amidst lush winds and chirping birds.
Lianka, my dearest and beloved daughter, my pride and joy, go and find your own path, like your brothers and sisters. Though you have neither hard scales, nor claws and fangs as sharp as razors, remember that you will always be the daughter of the mother of dragons, an honorable princess. In this world, you kneel to no one, be they human or dragon. Choose your path with pride, just like a true dragon.
And so, in keeping with the traditions of dragonkind, the young maiden named Lianka took the bow from the matriarch, and accompanied by bounteous flowers and quetzals, she embarked alone on her journey to seek her own path. It was not until she had traversed many lands belonging to both humans and dragons that the girl who had long grown accustomed to the jungle realized, despite the vastness of this world, the ability to fly freely and unrestrained like a sparrow seemed to be akin to a luxury. Laws held mortals in thrall, while obsession confined dragonkind. So-called freedom was an article of faith for the strong alone. But if that be so, then let all chains be broken, all shackles that hold the weak back from flight be shot from the sky. In the beginning, it was only a few orphans who had nowhere to go who stayed by her side. And then the wandering warriors, unwilling to be bound by the rules of the tribe, who chose to follow her song. And then those dragons who had been banished also came to the forest, seeking her protection. The uncrowned princess accepted them all, human or dragon, whether they had been foe or friend before. With but a single staff, she defeated a bandit, massive as a mountain, who would waylay passerby, and then all former enmity forgotten with a hearty laugh. The evil, arrogant dragon was shot down 3 times, and cured 3 times, and they became fast friends. This was the founding moment of the tribe that would be known as the Flower Feather Clan for the next 1,000 years, where even those who were weak, feeble, and homeless would not need fear the wind and open sky.
Oh, Outlander, hailed as a hero, you seem to misunderstand. I am not their king, and they have no need to submit to anyone. None can rule here, for everyone is a crownless king. Let go of those overwrought, convoluted, needless formalities, for the only thing that can please us is the sound of song. However, if you are as sincere as your words, if you truly desire to whip up a blazing wind to burn away the eternal shackles, if you truly wish to bestow the weak with a place where they are equal, then, O Outlander, whom they acclaim as a hero, I shall journey with you.
Catalyst, Ring of Yaxche. This jade vessel was created by a hero of yesteryear. Legend has it that it once shot the giant dragon that dwelt in the volcano down from the skies. Description: long, long ago, in what now is seen as an age of myth, when great dragons still roamed above the scorched lands. Having passed through countless trials, the lost twin heroes reunited once more before the evil dragon's corpse, and made a vow. Father lost his life due to the Dragon Lord's impulsive whims, and Mother sacrificed herself to protect her children. Were it not for the assistance of the Collective of Plenty and the clans of the Mines, a Pub and Ishkie reuniting would have been an impossibility. Therefore, we swear upon sacred Yaxche that we will obliterate death, destruction, and pain, and make it so the strong of the world can never again bully the weak, and bring light to this land bereft of day and night. And so, following the path of strength and blessings, the twin heroes ventured forth, and the young man with an explosive temperament and the calm, unflappable young girl accompanied one another, each complementing the other's shortcomings. Me and mine are but frail mortals, whilst thou art a great dragon who can shake the heavens themselves, the wind and rain at thy beck and call. Thou may summon thy flashing lightning thrice. Should thou fail to strike us down, then thou must endure 3 of our blows. O great dragon, thou art known to boast of thy pride and noble nature. Dost thou not have the courage to vie with mortals, or dost thou only dare to flee? Such was the challenge issued to the conceited, self-proclaimed sun god, and with a strength far beyond mortal ken, they faced the thunder and lightning that shook the very mountains. And finally, with but a blow dart, did they shoot the false sun from the sky. See, O glorious king? How could the crude arts of ordinary mortals forge such a beautiful gem? Our master has given me and my foolish brother orders to come and offer you a secret salve with which to heal your wounds. The gem that our master bestowed upon us is here. Please, you may inspect it personally. Really, how could we possibly harm you? In this way, an imitation gemstone that seemed perfectly identical to the original, forged with fire hitherto unknown to mortals, fooled the earthquake-causing great dragon into drinking the elixir which stripped it of its power, and thus was it buried alive amidst the mountains. Countless legends of adventure that beggar the imagination would later become the origins of the traditions of both the Collective of Plenty and the Mines. And at the crossroads where all roads end, the twin heroes who met the warrior walked with him together into the night wind. O brave hero, should thy path lead to executing fell dragons. O brave hero, if your path leads to stamping out suffering, we swear upon sacred Yaxche and the ancestors.
A pub's blow darts
And Ishkie's forge fires shall be yours to use. Page 2. It was the age when the banners of the tribes had not yet been coated in dust, and the colors of the pact had not yet faded. The new king of the Cinder City had yet to seize that highest authority, and the plot to betray his oath had yet to be hatched. The twin heroes of yesteryear, once inseparable as form and shadow, were now at odds, separated by their respective positions. Though born of the same blood, and though they had embarked on the same journey together with the one entombed with the primal fire, the eyes of the warrior who wallowed in blood and vengeance still saw dragonkind much differently than the flame-forging artisan. Though he had never publicly opposed the hero's prohibition, his enmity towards the dragons was known to all. And thus it was that when the Lord of the Cinder City tentatively ordered that the fleeing wicked dragons be pursued, among the heroes who still served the Alliance at that time, only a pub answered the call. And as chief, he led countless warriors of the Collective of Plenty before the mines in the mountains, asking the ruler of the Nanatskayan to hand over the ferocious beasts hidden in the mountains or face their blades. After facing off for several days, the firebrand hero invited his twin sister to the place of reunion to speak, intending to convince the other party with sincere arguments to remember the oath made that day. However,
utterly, irredeemably stupid, foolish beyond belief, has the haze of the forge fires befuddled thy heart and caused thee to forget our old blood vengeance? The new king's decree has been issued. Wilt thou yet seek to shelter those cruel beasts, to betray the Alliance and our vow?
it is you and the usurper ruling the Cinder City who are the real oath-breakers, my foolish brother. Surely you recall the hero's prohibition. Should you insist on hurting these peace-loving dragons who wish no ill upon us, Nanatskayan will see you as enemies who betrayed our alliance. Oh, brother, my foolish brother. What you seek has long ceased to be vengeance, but a blind bloodlust merely to satiate yourself. The increasingly incendiary language and the sneering moonlight stole the last trace of his rationality and brought about a burning rage. The hero who once locked horns with the titanic dragon drew the blade at his waist and leveled it at the neck of his closest kin. He intended to do no more than cow the opposition so as to make that calm chief of the mines of the mountains obey the new king's decree. But the crimson that spurted forth terminated all talk, leaving only despairing wails. At the end of the path of strength and blessings, the hero held the one closest to him in his embrace and walked into the incinerating fire. In the end, the beacons of war between the tribes were not lit, but rather were extinguished along with the disappearance of the two chiefs. Pretending to forgive the dragons, the king sent emissaries to attempt to persuade those of the canyons and Plenty to temporarily hand authority over to the Alliance, until such time as the two tribes had each chosen new chiefs, and the banners that signified their glory would be returned to them, while secretly recording the names of those who had sheltered the dragons, waiting for a chance to take the traitors' heads. But Sakuk, who was later proclaimed the agent of the tribe, was at that time yet aware of the course fate had charted for her. Even the scheming usurper could not have known that the obstacles to seizing authority would be swept aside so easily. And just as he was wailing and rejoicing, the young heir of the Flower Feather clan offered him yet more secret counsel. Claymore, Earthshaker. A heavy blade that people claim was beloved by the hero known as the Fire Thief. They say that even the Lord of Cinderkeep's flames could not burn it away. Description: long, long ago, in what now is seen as an age of myth, when great dragons still soared above the canopy, there lived a hero who, though he later came to be revered as the Fire Thief, was at that time still in his youth and as reckless as a halberd-crest bird. Born strong, brave, and boastful, he would roam the woods, challenging passerby to duels. Yet he was easily defeated by a half-human hero, the follower of a great warrior, who, with cunning footwork, lured him into a mire. Seeing the young man in such a sorry state, the archer could not help but laugh. Of habit so stern and taciturn, you would not have thought that she would tease others so. Half of shame, half of annoyance, the young man made up his mind. He would follow these oddballs, if only to cover up the shame of defeat.
Hey, you aren't seriously thinking of taking on that, whatever it is without me, are ya?
Listen up, you lot. I am Yupanqui, and it is I that is destined to shake the very foundations of the... Wait, I haven't finished! Many years later, whenever he thought back upon that journey, he couldn't help laughing at how awkwardly childish he used to be. More than once did his failure to heed advice land him in great danger. More than once did his boisterousness earn him the quiet artisan's annoyance. Though it is true that countless enemies fell to the swings of his greatsword, on balance, his contributions were still outweighed by the trouble he caused. Despite this, the companions who journeyed by the warrior's side tolerated his youthful ignorance. When his vision was taken by the fire of delirium, it seemed to him that he heard the silent priest's words once more. One day you will understand why you embarked on this verdant path. By past fuel and present flame, life marches ever on. We will answer to the fire for all our deeds. This is your path, and yours alone. Page 2. That was the age when the banners of all the tribes had returned to the corroded ruins of the Cinder City, when oaths had long since faded away. Having gradually fallen into delirium, the human king now babbled of his crazed obsessions, his eyes reflecting naught but fear. Though still given to lament how the grand vision he had once held, of humans and dragons coexisting, was now beyond reach. Yet the aging hero could not bring himself to rebel against his only surviving friend of old. In the end, he thought, the color would thus fade from all verdant paths. In this way, passion is just like fire. Despite regret and unwillingness, once extinguished, it is gone. Just as there was no such thing as a flame that could itself be rekindled, so there would never be a path that was his and his alone. And thus, the disheartened old man silently accepted the idle position of ordnance officer for the Grand Alliance, resolving never to interfere with his old friend's orders again, waiting only for the day that he would return to the sacred flame. Until, having saved the dragons from the shadow of the sword, alone at night came the scarlet-eyed youth to pay a visit to the ordnance officer's abode. With that zeal, at once both strange and familiar, he pleaded with the old hero to break the chains of the broken oath. Steadfast and taciturn, the old man did not answer him directly, only glancing at the dusty great sword beside him, in his eyes, over the long years glazed dull with gloom. A spark of fiery brilliance flashed up once more. Thanks for listening. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. And if you want to hear what I read in the future, consider subscribing. And I keep forgetting to mention, use the bell too if you don't want to miss any updates. Now, weapon stories can be a bit of a gamble. Sometimes they have one continuous narrative, more like an artifact set, and sometimes they're a bit disjointed. I decided to put the Flute and the Rainbow Shredder first, as their stories seem a bit more self-contained. Though, when we do get to visit the Masters of the Nightwind, I'll be keeping an eye out for the name Dinka. The Rainbow Shredder story offered a unique perspective. My soft heart is happy that there was at least one ending where those two end up together. I don't know, would there be a way for both endings to be true, do you think? It's the last three weapons that for sure have some threads in common. I put Earthshaker last because it ties them together. If the Fire Thief's name sounds familiar, that's because this is the same Yupanqui mentioned in the Turnfire quests with the Scions of the Canopy. He traveled with Xbalanque. With these three stories, we're getting a glimpse into Xbalanque's journey. Apub says the hero's goal is to execute fell dragons, which falls in line with Xbalanque slaying the dragon Shihukawatch to then become the first Pyro Archon. Apub and Ishkie were recruited, the warrior and the quiet artisan, and I believe Lianka is the archer. So, around this period in Natlan, hundreds of years before the Cataclysm in Conria, the Grand Alliance is formed. Then, the second pages of The Ring of Yaxche and of Earthshaker give us insight into how rough things were under this Grand Alliance. Considering the reference to one entombed with the primal fire, this crazy king took over after Xbalanque completed his journey. What might have started as Xbalanque going around and earnestly recruiting people to his cause became one tyrannical despot grabbing for power wherever he could with his agenda to destroy all dragons. Considering the abundant Saurian companions that we see in the Natlan of today, I think it's safe to say which side won in the end. Now, at the very end of those page 2s, we get some nice sequel bait. What counsel does Sakuk give? Who is the scarlet-eyed youth that inspires the fire in Old Man Yupanqui? What becomes of that crazed king? I found answers to some of those questions in Natlan's Weapon Domain materials. Would you like me to read those for a sequel? Let me know and I'll bump it up the queue. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day.